class. In today's video, we're going to be going over the solutions for the post-test revision that I've developed on Google Forms. So let's quickly go through the answers for the multiple choice section. So the first question wants you to find what is the y value when x is equal to 2 for this given equation over here. So we're just going to sub x is equal to 2 into the equation and then simplify. And if you do this, you should get an answer of -11, hence B will be the correct answer. Question 2 wants you to find out what is the y-intercept given the actual equation, okay? So this is given in the y is equal to mx plus c form, and we know that the value of c corresponds to your y-intercept. So in this case over here, c is going to equal to -12, hence A is going to be the correct answer. Question 3 wants you to identify what is the gradient for this particular equation over here. Notice that this is given in the standard form, so we have to actually transpose it in the y is equal to mx plus c form. So if in this case over here, I'm going to subtract both sides by 3x, and in doing so, this will cancel this part over here, hence your equation will be y is equal to 12 minus 3x, and we can clearly see that your m value is going to correspond to -3. So hence B will be the correct answer. Question 4 wants you to find out what is the gradient by calculating it given these two coordinates over here. So in this case, you're going to be using the formula y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. So you need to label your coordinates first. So I've labeled this as x1, y1, this is x2, y2, and I've substituted into the formula as shown over here. Simplify this, you're going to get -24 divided by 8, which is equal to -3. Hence A will be the correct answer. Question 5 wants you to match the equation with the actual graph. So in this case over here, we can clearly see that this is going to be your y-intercept. So let's quickly eliminate options that aren't that. So we can eliminate this option, we can eliminate this option, but we can also eliminate this option. So it's going to be either A or B. In this case over here, notice that your gradient is negative, so it should be going in this particular direction. So therefore, we could also eliminate A. So therefore, C is going to be the correct answer. And I did this without even necessarily finding what my x-intercept is going to be. For question 6, the equation of the graph shown down below is, in this particular example over here, because you don't really have a gradient at all, gradient is equal to 0, you're not really rising, so your equation is going to be in the form of y is equal to a constant. In this case, it's going to be y is equal to 7. Question 7 wants you to find the equation that matches this particular graph over here. So in this case, you could actually show for working out, or you can kind of do this in a process of elimination. So in this case, if you notice that your y-intercept is going to be a negative value, it's not shown yet, but we do know it's going to be a negative value. Hence, we can already eliminate it to options E, options D, as well as options B. So your answer is going to be either A or C in this case over here. So one of the ways that you could obtain it is find it out is by finding out what is your x-intercept. So you could do that method over there, but in this case over here, another way you could do this is just by looking at the gradient values. So your gradient value is 2.5, this one over here is 5. So remember, your gradient is equal to rise over run. So let's look at this over here. Let's look at this point and see how much is it rising for every 1 unit we move to the right hand side. In this case of it, it's going up by 5 units. So therefore your correct answer is going to be C. But again, you could also find out what is the x-intercept and check to see which of these equations give you the correct x-intercept. For question 8 over here, it asks you the line that is parallel to the line with equation y is equal to 5x plus 2 is equal to what? Remember that the key word here is parallel. Anything that's parallel will have the exact same gradient, okay? So in this case over here, we can just eliminate some of the options. We can eliminate B, we can eliminate C, we can eliminate D. Hence, A is going to be the correct answer. For question 9, it wants you to find the gradient of a line that's perpendicular to this equation over here. Remember that a equation that is perpendicular to another equation will have the gradient that is the negative reciprocal. So in this case of here, your gradient is going to be 2 for this equation. So therefore, we just flip that around. So it's going to be 1 over 2 and then add the negative sign in front of it. So in this case, it's going to equal to -1/2, which is D in this case. For question 10, all you're simply doing is just reading off the graph. So in this case here, this is where the point of intersection lies. And we can see that x value is equal to -2, your y value is equal to +1. Hence, B will be the correct answer. For question 11, you're trying to find out what is the solution. So find out what is the point of intersection. So in this case over here, if you were to solve it, then you could use the elimination method. So in this case over here, I'm going to multiply the second equation by 3. If you do so, now the coefficient in front of x is the same. I'm going to subtract both equations together. This is going to be my simplified equation. Divide both sides by -7, which will give you +3. So that's going to be my y value. And in this case, if you notice that only one of them has the correct y value, so I can already say that D is the correct answer. But to show you the full working out over here, you get an x value that's equal to 2. Hence, your point of intersection is 2, 3. For question 12, you're going to be doing the exact same thing, but this time you're going to be using the substitution method, okay? So in this case, over here, I've equated both the equations together. So once I've done that, move the like terms to the same side, and afterwards just collect the like terms. So therefore, you get 4x is equal to 8, divide both sides by 4, x is therefore equal to 2. Now, in this case over here, the correct answer is going to be either C or D. So let's find out what the y value is by subbing x is equal to 2 into one of the equations. And in doing so, you get a y value that's equal to -1. Hence, your correct answer is going to be option C. We're now going to be going over the solutions for this short answer section. So for the first question, all it wants you to do is identify what is the gradient for each of these lines over here. So in this case, for line A, which is represented by the purple line, we can clearly say that's a positive. For line B, this is a flat line, a horizontal. Anything that's horizontal will be 0. Line C in this case is going in the negative direction, and line D will be undefined. For question 2, it wants you to actually sketch the graphs by finding both the x and y intercepts and then drawing a line in between those intercepts. So in this case over here, this is what your answer should look like if you've actually done this correctly by finding both your x and y intercept. For question 3, find the equation of the line that passes through the points 1, 6, and 3, and -4. So in this case over here, we need to find the equation in the form of y is equal to mx plus c. So let's quickly find out your gradient. So in this case, I've labeled my coordinates as x1, y1, x2, y2, and then I'm using the formula y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So that's shown over here. Just simplify this, and therefore your gradient is going to equal to -5. Substitute that back into the general formula and substitute one of the coordinates. In this case, I'll choose this one because any values of a 1 or a 0 is probably the most ideal. And therefore, if we do this, then what we're doing is just rearrange it to solve for C. So therefore, add both sides by +5. Hence, C is going to equal to +11. So therefore, your equation should be y is equal to -5x plus 11. For question 4, it wants you to state the gradient of a line that's perpendicular to each of these equations shown down below. So in this case over here for A, we know that the gradient for part A is equal to 6. So just find the negative reciprocal of that. So it's going to be -1 over 6. For part B, it's going to be -1. For both part C and part D, notice that these questions over here are not expressed in the y is equal to mx plus c form. So what we need to do is we first need to convert them over. So in this case, -y is equal to 1 minus 6x, and then you just divide both sides by -1. Hence, your equation is going to be y is equal to 6x minus 1. So that the gradient for this particular question over here is going to be 6. So therefore, something that's going to be perpendicular to this is going to be the negative reciprocal. So it's again going to be equal to -1 on 6. Okay. For part D, again, we're going to need to rearrange the equation. So it's going to be 3y is equal to 6 minus 2x. Divide both sides by 3. So y is equal to 2 minus 2x on 3. So your gradient in this case is going to be equal to -2 on 3. Find the negative reciprocal of that. And if you do that correctly, then it should be +3 on 2, which is the same thing as 1.5. For question 5, you're trying to find the equation that is parallel to this equation up here, and it also tells you that the parallel line passes through this coordinate. The reason why they give you this is so that you can actually find out what is your y-intercept. So since it's parallel, it will have the exact same gradient. So it's going to be y is equal to 3x plus c. Now we just need to solve for c by substituting the coordinates 2, 5 into the equation. And all we need to do is simplify, move 6 to the other side by subtracting both sides by 6. C is therefore equal to -1. And therefore, this will be your final answer. For question 6, you're doing the exact same thing, but this time it's going to be perpendicular. So remember, a gradient of a perpendicular line will be the negative reciprocal of -5. So it's going to be therefore +1 over 5. Now to solve for C, we're just going to substitute the coordinates 2 and -1 into the equation, simplify that, and move the fraction to the other side by adding both sides by 2 over 5. And if you do this, then you should get an answer of C is equal to -7 on 5. Hence, you write this as your answer over here. For question 7, this is now using simultaneous equations. So you're trying to find out the unit price of a pen as well as a pencil. So first, define what the variables are going to be, and then write an equation for both of them. Once you've done that, then you can see that the coefficients for both x and y are not the same. So let's make sure that they have the same coefficients so we can eliminate one of the variables. I'm going to eliminate x in this case. So I'm going to be finding the lowest common multiple, which in this case is going to be 63. So once you've done that, then this is going to be your new equations. And therefore, I'm going to subtract both equations together to cancel out x. Therefore, this is going to be your new simplified equation. Divide both sides by 37. Hence, y is going to be equal to, that should be a negative sign over here. Y is equal to 10 cents. So therefore, that's the price of a pencil. To find out the price of a pen, what we do is we sub that into one of the equations, and I'm going to substitute it back into this equation over here. And if you do this, simplify, collect like terms, move the 50 cents onto the other side, divide both sides by 9, x is therefore going to equal to 30. So therefore, in this case, the price of a pen will equal to 30 cents, and you'll always have to write your answer as a word statement. So therefore, this is how you'd answer the question to get full marks. This is the end of the video. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys again in the next video. Bye.